So this is a totally different type of video. I'm in a totally different location because I'm on vacation, and this is something that I have a lot of thoughts on, and I think I have some degree of credibility on, and I really want to put my thoughts out into the world on this issue because it's very controversial, and I just wanted to get my input. So this is what I think of Netflix's movie To the Bone. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you might just want to go Google the To the Bone trailer on YouTube. But basically it's a movie on Netflix about a girl with anorexia, and it's written and directed, I think, by a woman who is recovered from anorexia, and the lead actress who plays the main character is also recovered from anorexia. So, there was a little bit of, kind of like, okay, like this isn't, hopefully they can give an accurate portrayal because they've had the experience. They said their intention was not to glamorize it, and they said that their intention in creating this movie was to raise awareness for eating disorders, and it is a pretty taboo topic. It's something that I think we do definitely need a conversation about because it's something so common and so widespread and so dangerous, and I think we need to really start talking about it. So I love the idea of, hey, let's start a conversation. Now, was this responsible? Was it a good way of starting a conversation? That's kind of what I'm going to be talking about, because that's, I think, where a lot of the controversy comes from. And so starting off, this movie I definitely don't think was made to be watched by people with eating disorders. In fact, I would highly give a huge warning. They give a trigger warning at the beginning, but I would warn anyone with an eating disorder to just stay away because there's plenty of triggering material inside the movie, and I think it's just something that if you know that you're actively struggling, if you might have an issue with seeing some disordered behaviors portrayed in the movie, just don't even watch it. And if you do decide to watch it and you start feeling triggered by it, stop, go to your support system, and just protect yourself, take care of yourself. This movie is a lot of people are saying it's not responsible to come out with this movie because it's going to trigger a lot of people. But I don't know how we can start a conversation, how we can kind of show what this illness is like without potentially triggering some people. I know that the people in the pro-ana community, which is pro-anorexia, people who don't want to recover, who are encouraging others to have anorexia, they're really feeding off of this, and they're posting a lot of stuff about it. And they're just, watching it to see, how skinny she is and stuff. But, in that one specific area, the pro-ana community, I almost feel like, if they don't, I watched another video where a girl said, if they don't draw from this, they'll draw from something else. I don't necessarily think that if they don't find the inspiration in this movie, they'll find it somewhere else. So, I think it's an impossible battle to try to keep material that might be, triggering to the pro-ana community out of their hands, because they're looking for it. They're trying to find it, and hopefully, as far as triggering just people who are trying to recover and stuff, hopefully, if they know what they can handle, they know that they just need to put their health beyond anything else and just stay away. Because this movie, I think, was definitely made for people who don't have really any experience or any understanding of eating disorders. So kind of going into that sector, do I think it was an accurate portrayal, or did it glamorize it? Whatever. I don't think it glamorized it. I don't think anyone would really watch the movie and be like, oh wow, now I want an eating disorder. So that's good. It's really important that I think eating disorders can be glamorized in movies and stuff and TV shows as just, a way to get skinny, a really effective way of getting skinny when it's not like that at all. And I think the movie definitely shows like the consequences of eating disorders, you know, like not just the medical consequences, but the way it hurts families, and it puts strains on relationships and families and stuff. So, you know, I think it did a great job, like not glamorizing at all. As far as being accurate, I mean, I personally, a lot of the material hit really close to home. It you know, was like, wow, that's pretty familiar. The disordered behaviors they were acting in, you know, the kind of almost some of the treatment, like the therapy and the kind of advice offered by the male therapist or doctor in the movie was, you know, advice I received. I actually really liked, he had, you know, he just said, you know, every time you hear that voice in your head, just say, yeah, he said F off. I really like that because that's kind of like the main way I combated my eating disorder. However, okay, there's two main issues that I have with the movie. The first one not being as big of an issue, but still being an issue. So, there's currently a problem because I think that, you know, with the media and the internet and everything, people have come to the conclusion that anorexics look a certain way. They're super underweight, you know, they have, you know, they're super skinny, they're white, you know, like they're thin, attractive girls, you know, and you know, there's a problem within the community, the eating disorder recovery community, where there's girls who, you know, are people of color, or they're, you know, just don't fit into this stereotype, and they almost feel, you know, trivialized, like, you know, they're not sick, or they're not represented. And so I think there's a you know, an African American girl in the movie, but you know, I think they could have done a little bit better at showing some more diversity, and mainly most of all, there's the main problem that we're having is, you know, girls not thinking they're sick enough because they're not underweight, because it is a reality that, you know, some girls with anorexia or bulimia, like, or guys, they don't, like, they look quote unquote healthy, like they're not unhealthily, like they're not super skinny. They're, you know, looking at them, you wouldn't guess that they have anorexia, if that makes sense. But they still do, and they still need help, and it's still just as dangerous. They just aren't, you know, real thin like the media and everyone like kind of portrays them or expects anorexic people to be like. And you know, the fact that in the movie the lead character is extremely skinny, you know, I think in some ways like that adds to the, you know, the kind of like, oh, like scary effect of it. I think they were hoping to give off of like the urgent kind of dangerous nature of eating disorders. But at the same time, like if I were watching this and, you know, I don't know, I just like, I think it's important that the movie kind of showed that, you know, not all people who have eating disorders fit the certain mold. And, you know, not all people with eating disorders are skinny, but that doesn't mean they're any less valid or any less sick and any less deserving of treatment, and healing. So I think that was something that they kind of missed an opportunity to really talk about, and that conversation is another one that's really important that we have. It's like, you know, just because you don't fit this certain stereotype doesn't mean that you don't deserve treatment. It doesn't mean that you're not sick enough. Yeah, so that's one main problem I have with it. The other one is that it didn't really address mental illness, and it didn't address the fact that having anorexia is kind of like having like like there's two different, almost like having two different voices in your head always battling each other. It's like part of you knows what you're doing is hurting you and is really wrong and is dangerous, and part of you doesn't want to do it, and the other part like is like telling you, you know, you're fat, you know, it's just like it's constant battle between the side of you that's like, I want to be healthy, I want to eat, I want to, you know, be happy and live my life, and I know that this is getting in the way of doing all those things, and the other side of you, which is the eating disorder, and it's telling you, you know, you'll be happier when you're skinny, you'll be, you know, all these disordered thoughts. And I wish that they kind of addressed that more. I wish they showed more of the inner struggle between those two things, because, you know, for me it was so hard, because it's kind of like wanting to recover so badly, wanting to eat so badly, but just not feeling like you can. Like if you do, like whether you eat or whether you don't eat, it's a lose-lose situation, because you disappoint once, or you disappoint one side of your head either way, and you just can't get yourself to eat. And in the movie they almost portray it as kind of like a choice, like these girls are just stubborn, and they're just, you know, being kind of mean, or I don't know, just kind of being stubborn about it and just being like, oh no, I don't want to eat. When they really made it seem like a choice. They made it seem like they were being selfish and stubborn by not eating, and that's just not the way it is at all. I wish it was as easy as just being like, no, I don't feel like it, and being, you know, I wish it was a choice, but it's not. It's something, you're going up against something a lot more powerful. And the movie didn't really show any of that. It just kind of showed these girls struggling, helping each other to do disordered behaviors, and it didn't really show that it's like there's an inner battle going on, that you know, you don't want to hurt your parents, you don't want to hurt your family, you don't even, like, I didn't even want to die. Like I didn't want to die. I didn't even want, like, I there was one part of the movie that I really liked, and it was when at the beginning of the movie, you know, she takes a picture, her stepmom takes a picture of her, and she's like, do you see that, do you think that's beautiful? And she's like, no. So, you know, like, I can't, it's hard, it's really hard for me to describe what it feels like, but I think that they could have done a lot better showing the fact that eating disorders are not a choice, they're not selfish. It's really, really freaking difficult, and it's, you know, you can want to recover really badly, you can want to, you know, just like, you can want to please your parents, and you can want to live and have a happy life, but still be having like the hardest time. And I think it's important that, like, people who watch this movie who don't know anything about eating disorders, who don't have any experience with anyone ever having them or whatever, I'm concerned that they'll watch that and be like, okay, like, they just need to, like, get over it. They just need to just eat, you know, like, they didn't really address the problem with the phrase just eat, which is, it's not that easy. It's not, it's just, it's not that easy. It's a whole heck of a lot harder. There's a whole, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You know, what you see when someone says no, when someone says just eat, you know, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You don't see the inner struggle. You don't see the, you know, I almost wish what could have been really good is if they had like a voice kind of talking, you know, when, like, without her actually speaking, just like having her look at food and having this voice kind of be like, you're fat, you're a pig, you know, what the voice that is present whenever, you know, you look, like, you have an eating disorder and you look at food. It's kind of like having like a personal bully just follow you around and bully you about how overweight you are and how you don't deserve to eat, how you know, it's horrible. And I think the movie should have done better showing that, you know, it's not a selfish, it's not a decision, it's, no one wants to have an eating disorder, it's just, it's a voice in your head that you can't get out. And I really wish they explored that more. I also wish they kind of explored kind of what's kind of like, you know, why are we getting so many girls with eating disorders? You know, what is being portrayed as perfection in the media? Why is all this happening? I wish they explored the media's obsession with skinny and obsession with being fit and having a certain body. You know, I wish they explored societal expectations more and the dangerous effect that has, because, you know, watching the movie, I guess you're just kind of like, oh, well, that sucks, and that's it. You don't go out wanting to like preach body positivity, and I think that would have been an amazing thing if, you know, like if they talked about how if we were just more body positive, if we stopped talking about diets and how much we hate our body all the time, you know, how amazing of an effect that would have on everyone. Like it would be amazing. And I think, you know, there was kind of a call to action that they had the opportunity to give, which was, you know, stop paying attention to these stupid magazine headlines that tell you to lose weight or have a bikini body or anything. Like, stop paying attention to that. Like, start focusing on what's really important, which is not your body. It's not, it's your worth is not dependent on your size, and stuff like that. Like, I think they just missed a lot of opportunities to do a lot of good and to help people understand more clearly, and to kind of give people a call to action, like something, you know, give something people can feel like they can do to help, you know, this world that we live in, which kind of breeds eating disorders in a way. And, you know, I didn't hate the movie. I'm not mad at it. I don't think it's what we really need right now. If we want to start conversation, we need things that deal with more like showing, you know, what it's actually like inside a person's head when they have an eating disorder. I think it's important to not, you know, feed the stereotype that girls with anorexia are always thin, always white, always pretty. I think there's a total opportunity to talk about societal expectations and the skinny ideal that is like that we are in, like just like bombarded with everywhere in the media. You know, I think it could have been done better. I'm not mad at it. I don't think it'll do like a ton of harm, unless, you know, girls with eating disorders or guys are watching this and like being really triggered by it, which I hope is not happening. I hope people are just protecting themselves, and if they feel like it might be a threat to them, to their health, just staying away from it. Gosh, I really hope they do, but I don't know. So you can see how I'm kind of conflicted on it. I don't think it was like as much as I hoped it to be, you know, really shedding, as much as I wanted it to shed light on the disorder and wanted it to kind of show the brutal honesty and the brutal truth of what having an eating disorder is like. It didn't really do that. So I'm disappointed. I'm not like, I don't hate it. I like I said, I don't hate it. But you know, I think there was some missed opportunities. Yeah. Okay. So that's my thoughts on the movie. I feel like I had something else I wanted to say, but I completely forget what it was. I remember what I wanted to say. If you're going to watch this movie, I think what's really important to keep in mind is this is just one woman's story. This is, you know, anorexia is not the same experience for everyone. You know, I certainly didn't go to a house with, like, my inpatient experience was not like that. It was in an actual hospital. They made me eat. And that's a totally separate conversation, but I definitely do not agree with the treatment system they had in the movie. Like, that, I just can't imagine that ever working well. But anyway, you know, this is just one woman's experience. So if you're gonna watch this movie, don't watch that and be like, okay, so that's what having anorexia is like. Just be like, okay, I got a taste for what it was like for one girl. And I feel like a lot of the things, like a lot of the disordered behaviors in there are pretty common amongst all eating disorder patients, but her experience specifically, it's just her one story, and anorexia is not one size fits all. It's not, no one's gonna have the same experience. No one, like, you know, just because, you know, the main character is cynical and sarcastic and, doesn't know if she wants to live. Doesn't mean all anorexics are like that. You just have to keep in mind that it's a complex illness. It's not something that can really be defined or encapsulated in one movie, and it's something that's different for every person that goes through it. So just keep that in mind if you're gonna watch it. Like it's a different experience for everyone, and this is just one story. Like this is just one woman's story about her experience. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And like I said, it's on Netflix if you are curious about watching it. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.